Hey guys, Jim here. Time for something a little bit different. In a recent video, I asked you guys if you wanted to see a video of my most carried knives of 2022 so far. We are about halfway through May, so we're almost halfway through the year, and I think this is a fair representation of what I've been carrying most throughout this part of 2022. Now, this is not a representation of the newest knives that I've gotten only this year. There's some knives in here that are a couple of years old, or knives that I got last year or in the past couple of years. And it's not the representation of my all-time favorite knives in my collection or anything like that. This really is the ones that I have been reaching for the most throughout 2022. And some may be because I'm still in a honeymoon phase, which is most certainly the case here with the EMP EDC Nimble. Not that it's not a fantastic knife. It really is, and I think it's going to be a long-term favorite, but I'm still very much in a honeymoon phase. I've only had this for maybe 3 months, and I'm still very much loving that. There are knives here that I've had. I've had this for about 4 years. I've had this for 5 or 6 years. And there are just knives that I tend to enjoy carrying more than others. Some there's going to be a specific reason for. I'm dressed a certain way. It's going to fit that attire better because it's either lighter weight or it's smaller or something. Or I'm wearing something where it's more forgiving and I can carry something bigger and heavier. Or I'm riding my motorcycle and I need a stronger retention on that clip. Or it's got to ride a certain way in my pocket when my leg is hiked up the way that it is. Or something. There's a reason sometimes for carrying a certain knife. Or I know I'm going to be performing a certain task that day. I'm more likely to be cutting something that day, and I want a blade that performs a certain way. Could be any number of things. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and break down these, and maybe I'll start at the top and kind of go in a clockwise order. Knowing me and as scrambled as my brain is lately, I'm probably going to dance around, but I'll try to do that. Starting up here with this fixed blade right up here. This is the Interloper by my very good friend Alex Harrison. This is Night Watch Knives. He made the knife. This is a handmade custom, and it is truly one of my all-time favorite fixed blade knives. Now, it doesn't look like anything all that crazy. It's a pretty, I don't want to say basic because there's nothing basic or easy about this knife, but it's a very clean pattern. There's really nothing particularly crazy about it. It's not like it's a crazy compound grind or anything like that. It's not like it's high polished scales, but it's vintage Ragmacarta scales, not easy to come by. He did a beautiful tapered tang on this. Nice clean satin all the way around, hand rubbed satin on the blade, a very, very high, basically full hollow grind on there. Comes to a ridiculously fine edge, one of the sharpest knives that I own. It's comfortable in the hand, and it is shockingly, and I mean shockingly lightweight. So it's easy to carry. It's not cumbersome in any way, and for the days that I really want to have a fixed blade on me, and I want to have something a little bit larger that fits in my hand really well, and I want it to be really lightweight. This is just a killer way to go. It's a great traditional looking knife, not an aggressive style, not a particularly overly modern style. I think it has modern lines to it. I especially love the finger cutouts here, and it fits my hand just perfectly. It's great, and it's made by a dear friend, somebody that I respect a hell of a lot, and there's always something to that as well. And you're going to see that theme play out in a few of these knives as well. So, and this was a generous gift from my good friend Alex, and that also means a lot too. So, Alex, I thank you. I love you, buddy, and this is one that I've suggested to a lot of people. And if you've ever been looking for that perfect all-around EDC, lightweight, but can do it all kind of fixed blade, definitely check it out. Night Watch Knives, Interloper. Can't say enough positive things about that knife. Going down from that, most everybody should know this knife if you've been following me for any length of time at all. This is the production collaboration that I did with Riot Knives. This is my TiBia. So this was the second design that I ever made as a custom knife. Came after my occipital, and it just happened to be the second production collaboration I did as well after the occipital, which I did with Bark River Knives. And I tend to carry this almost every single day. This is one that it's extraordinarily easy to carry. One of the things that I've always told people about the way that I started designing my smaller knives early on was I always wanted to have a full-length, useful blade. To me, no matter how concealable a knife is still a knife, and it's got to have a useful blade. So I wanted that full-length, full-range, useful blade that will cut everything, can be used for self-defense if need be, and it gives you that extra reach. I wanted to have the ergonomics where it will lock into your hand and not twist and torque and move around, and can actually be used for hard work or, again, as a secondary measure of self-defense. But to make it compact, I would make a shorter handle. And people are like, but it's only a 3-finger grip. Well, that's why you make a tightly knotted lanyard if you have a large hand. If you have a small hand, plenty of my customers, they would get a 4-finger grip on there. Me, I don't. I have large mitts. So I use a tightly knotted lanyard, and then I put a bead on there, and that gives me a 4-finger grip on the knife. And that's the way that it's intended to be carried. And it doesn't add really any length to it when you're carrying it, because it just kind of flops down. It's not in the way at all. And because it's carried horizontal on the belt, it's being carried like this. So that just kind of dangles down. It's not in your way. And when you go to grab it, it's helping you extract it from the sheath. So anyway, this is still one of my favorite designs. This is now, the TiBia was my second design, so this design now is 6 years old. Yeah, so it's about 6 years old. The production came out about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, and I'm so happy about it. We do have another version coming out soon. Different finishes will be available. There will be a Damascus version through Riot. It was a wonderful experience working with Riot on these, and I can't wait to do more. And the bead was a collaboration that I did, a limited collaboration I did 2 or 3 times with my buddy Michael Ziba. And these were made available exclusively through, first order was exclusively through me and Mike. And then we did an order through, 2 orders through Fort Henry Custom Knives. So that was the custom beads. So that is pretty much my predominant, almost every single day carry since it came out. And I still love it. Super, super, super easy to carry. All right, from there, the very first Magna Cut knife that I owned, and one of the first Magna Cut production knives to be made available, the ProTech ATCF Bob Terzola in the tuxedo variation. This was the first version of the ProTech ATCF that was made. Following this was the black with the carbon fiber. So this was the first production run. They're numbered on the bottom side of the frame. Magna Cut has performed well. It's been great. And I gotta tell you, man, this knife, God, it fires so fucking hard. By the way, there is a review on every single one of these knives on my channel. So if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts on any of these, just go look on my channel. There's a full in-depth 15+ minute review on each and every one of these knives. I just love the classy look of this. I love Bob's designs. I mean, he's the godfather of the tactical knife. This is his most famous design overall. This was the first time that he collaborated with a U.S. maker, production maker, on an automatic version of one of his knives, and they did a bang-up job. ProTech is American made. They make some of the strongest firing side-opening automatics that money can buy. Phenomenal quality. Everything is hand-assembled in the U.S. They make a great quality product. And a lot of times I think people sleep on ProTech. They kind of forget about how great they really are. You know, they get tied up in Microtech and all their great marketing. And Microtech's great. I'm not dogging Microtech. It's just their marketing is so predominant that people kind of forget about other great automatic brands. And ProTech is simply one of the best. You're hard pressed to find anything better, and their prices are fantastic. A lot of the ProTechs you can get into for like $220, $240, $250. You know, like they have some really great prices, and even this one for all that you're getting. You know, the titanium hidden hardware clip, the blind screwed clip, the inlay on the button with the ivory micarta that matches the scale, MagnaCut on the blade steel, everything. This thing was, I mean, God, what, just under $500? I mean, shit. The value is fantastic. It carries so well. It's lightweight. It's reliable. It's sharp. It's great in every respect. I can't imagine why everybody doesn't own one of those. It's just that awesome. Next in line, you guys know I've talked about this for so long. One of my absolute favorite knives, period, in any finish, is the Varga Knives VBR. This is the production variation made by Riot Knives. One of the best values in all of the knife industry, period. I don't care where you look, period. The very first one that I got was the regular basic stonewashed titanium with the carbon fiber and the M390 blade, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much that when Mark decided to make another run, he announced they'd be doing some Damasteel blades. And then on the regular satin finish blades, he was going to be offering the black DLC coated titanium bolster frames. And then there was going to be some white G10 scales. So I asked him, I said, please, pretty please, would you make a version for me in that tuxedo, but with the Damasteel blade, which was not an option. He's like, you know what? Absolutely. I know how much you love the knives. I would absolutely be happy to make a one-off variation for you. And he did. He was a man of his word. Yes, I paid money for it. Absolutely did. And I was so very happy to do so. I love the compound grind. It's harder to see in the Damasteel than it was in the hand-rubbed satin blades. But the workmanship is phenomenal. The feeling in the hand, the ergonomics, the size. It's so compact for such a large knife. They just somehow made this feel smaller than it actually is. The detent is phenomenal. The action is phenomenal. The edge, the grinds, everything about this knife is about as perfect as a knife can be in every respect. And it, to this day, is still one of my absolute favorite knives that I've ever owned at any price range. It is ridiculous. To know that you can get into the standard basic version, not Damasteel, the standard basic version, for under $300 is still one of the stupidest deals in all of the knife industry, period. So that's why every time he does a new offering, I tell people, jump on it, get in there, buy one, don't hesitate. You're a fool not to do it. So I will continue to tell people the same thing. I absolutely fucking love that knife. Next up, Dan Carragher, a maker that still a lot of people don't know about. I was fortunate to kind of bump into him. We kind of bumped into each other. And when I had the opportunity to review this knife, nobody really knew who he was. And I'm not going to get too much into the story, but he is a golf pro. And I don't mean like, yeah, he's the guy down at the golf resort down the road from you that teaches senior citizens how to improve their golf game. I mean, he has actually trained legends that have won pro golf tours. He is on that level. He's not just some schlub. And he decided one day to take his skills and love of knives and decided, hey, I've designed and made my own custom golf clubs. Why can't I take my other love, which is knives, and start making knives? And he did, and he started making custom knives, and this integral design being one of them, and he fucking blew it out of the water, and they weren't all that expensive. And then he said, well, you know, I'd like to make these more accessible, and I have, you know, other careers. I don't have time to just make a whole bunch of these for everybody that wants them. So I'm going to partner up with a great manufacturer, and I'm going to make a production version. And the production version is amazing. He made a handful of these in Damasteel. I was fortunate enough that he put one of these together for me with the naked titanium frame in Damasteel. And it is one of my favorite flippers. It's one of those knives that I pick this up and tend to carry it because as I'm deciding out of all my knife cases what to carry, I'll kind of pick up knives and flip them. And when I pick this up and I start doing this, I'm like, well, shit, now I want to carry this today because I just can't stop playing with it, which is what you're going to hear a lot about the next knife. It is so wonderful to feel, and to feel the weight of that massive recurve Tanto harpoon blade, which for those of you that follow me and my knife making, you know that is one of my favorite blade shapes because one of my most popular models is a recurve Tanto harpoon blade, my Hellraiser models. And this thing is just, it's sinister. It's mean. It looks like a great white shark just cutting through the water. And it feels nice in the hand. Plus, it's a fucking integral. How many integrals are really out there available these days? And certainly not many that are affordable. This version in Damasteel is only like $600. So it's crazy. Non-Damasteel, it's in the $300 range. I think it's like $350 in the M390. So yeah, crazy deal. Highly suggest that to everybody. Love, 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 love that knife. What's next? Yes, the EMP EDC Nimble. Why? Number one, it's a great size. It is a wonderfully compact knife that's super easy to carry, and it's a flipper. And for those of you that like that, it's a front flipper. I hate front flippers. And it's a reverse finger flicker. And it's a slow rolling thumb opener, and it's a thumb flicker, and it does everything. And it's just so much fun to sit there and play with. It is absolutely, completely addictive. And it's comfortable in the hand. It's a great blade shape. The action is absolutely fantastic. The frag feels good in the hand. It's not overly sharp. It's a clean, sterile blade without a bunch of markings because the brand logo is laser etched into the pivot. It's got a great weight to it. It feels substantial, but it's not heavy in the slightest. It's got a good-looking pocket clip that's actually useful and works. It's just everything that you want in an EDC knife, period. It does absolutely everything. And here's the thing. When I expressed interest in this knife, when I reached out to them, because they do these in drops, and I never seem to catch drops. So when I reached out and said, hey, I really want to get a hold of one of these, I never catch drops, can you do me a solid and let me know when they're going to be coming out, just so I can grab one and not miss out. That's it. But what I wanted was, because they started talking about their new X, the larger size. It's going to be a 3.5-inch blade. I'm like, my interest is in the X. I want the larger one because I generally don't like smaller knives. Well, the X was going to be further out, and he's like, well, I got a couple of the smaller ones. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll take the smaller one. And you know what? Holy shit, I really, 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 really like the smaller one. And for the days that I want to carry a smaller, lighter weight knife, and that's really where I was falling in love with my Vero, I've been carrying this a hell of a lot. Really enjoying this. And the other great thing, the same thing I just said about these two, the price is right. You're right around $300 on this knife. So yeah. My next one is going to be all black, and I think I'm either going to do purple or green on the anodized accents. I want to have a family of these. I want to do the all black in the mini version like this, and then I want to get, or I might do that in the X. I don't know, but I'm going to have an X, and I'm going to have another small one. I have to. Next up, from Vero Engineering, they have taken the industry by storm over the past few years, haven't they? This is the Synapse Mini, and this is the knife that renewed my love for smaller knives. I fell out of smaller knives for years. I just really didn't enjoy them very much. Didn't have a real need for them. And then this bad boy came along. A lot of people had asked me to review the Vero knives, and it's just impossible to get your hands on them. The drops come and go. The knives disappear instantly. If you're not there to buy it right then, they sell out in minutes or seconds. And I got frustrated, and I wasn't sure I was going to like them anyway because they're funky, they're weird, they're different. And honestly, they're so low priced that I kind of went, how great can they really be, to be honest with you? I mean, it's risky when you're going that cheap. And I'm talking like under $300 in a lot of cases. Like, I don't know about that. And everybody kept asking and asking and asking. So I reached out to Joseph Vero. I'm like, hey, if you've got any kicking around, I'd love to try them out. I'll send them back to you. No worries. And he pulled stock out of his own personal collection and sent me 5 knives. And I reviewed all 5. There's a big video about it. You can watch them all. And I fell in love with the least likely, the tiniest one. And I went, man, I love how this feels. I liked playing with it. I liked fidgeting with it. I liked how it felt in the hand. I loved the weight. I loved how you almost couldn't feel the weight of the blade at all. I loved the action, the detent, the location of the flipper tab, the fact that the flipper tab is almost non-existent, yet when you pull against it, it just works perfectly. I love that little notch that's only on the back side of the blade. I love the asymmetry of it. So many things that I loved about this. And the fact that he turned this brand into like the Apple of the knife industry. You fall in love with the knife as you buy it, then by the time you get bored, instead of having to buy another knife, you're like, you know what? I'm going to buy some red G10 scales for it. You go to their web store, you buy the red G10 scales, you change the whole personality of the knife. You know what? I want to dress my knife up today. So I'm going to buy the Timascus backspacer and Timascus pocket clip. You know what? I got a new girlfriend and her favorite color is purple. I'm going to buy the purple pocket clip and purple backspacer because I'm going to go out on a date and I want to get lucky. Whatever, man. You get to change up the personality of the knife for a fraction of the cost of buying another one. And that, my friends, is pure fucking genius. So there's that. Right here in the middle, what has very quickly become my favorite out the front knife of all time. Yep, that's it. The G&G Hawk, Grant and Gavin Hawk Deadlock Model C. The out the front that has absolutely no play whatsoever in the blade. The blade that is so reliable that you can't make it derail. Because it can't derail. When somebody says, I don't get why when everybody asks what the best out the front in the world is, why people say that knife. I don't get why it starts at $1,100 when I could buy a Microtech for $300. Why is it so much better? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to Facebook, go to all the various knife groups, and I want you to look up all the people that visit the groups just to ask, hey, how come my insert brand name here has the blade sticking half in or out and the switch is inactive and the blade derailed, and how do I fix that, and how do I get the blade back in, and how do I get it to work again? And type in whatever brand name you want, and then type in that same question with Deadlock. It doesn't exist because Deadlocks don't malfunction. There's a price to be paid for that level of perfection. Yes, it is that much better. It has a unique sound. It has a unique action. It has a unique lockup. It has a unique factor of reliability. It always works. Every time you fire it, it's gonna fire. Every time you go to retract it, it's going to retract. Simple as that. Plus, it's handsome. Plus, it also has the best visual balance of any out the front that I've ever seen. By nature, that blade in and out the front has to fit in that handle, so the handle has to be larger than the blade. Durr! And people go, I don't like how it's imbalanced because the blade, that'd be smaller than the handle. No shit, Sherlock. It has to fit inside the handle. but it's still one of the best visually balanced there is. Usually the handles are huge and wide and long and just enormous compared to the blade. Yet with the Deadlock Model C, and I'll give you that on the Model A and B, the handles were chunkier and wider and everything else because they were a bit more ornate. This is slimmed down in a way that it just looks better balanced. It's sleeker. It feels better in the hand. It's got one of the best pocket clips. Doesn't matter what pants you're wearing, from dress pants to work pants to thick jeans to your fucking bib overalls. Whatever you're wearing, it's going to work. And the fact that not everybody can get one because they are hard to get. Yes, that's a wonderful thing to have. You're paying for that engineering. You're paying for the exclusivity. You're paying for the fact that it works. It may not be the fanciest, no. Oh, yeah, man, I love the Marfione Customs, man. They are gorgeous. The fancy satin chassis and the beautiful blade inlays and the DLCs and mirror polishes. You've seen me put a lot of those on the channel. I've had a lot of those in my collection. I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands. I'm never going to knock them. Just because I love this doesn't mean I don't like those. But when you start going out there saying, I don't get why people say this is that much better. Well, because it is. It works better. It's just the way it is. And that's why this is the most carried out the front I've ever owned. And I've owned a lot. Go look through my channel. It's just a great knife in every respect. Next up, another one that I've always loved for lightweight EDC carry, my Jerry Mo Mongoose. Another one made by a dear friend. One that I'll always treasure. And it's super slim, yet it's a big, large, full-size knife. I mean, look at the size of this thing. But it's so narrow and so slim that it really makes it easy to carry. This was always that knife that I would reach for if I was, going out on a hot summer day wearing lightweight shorts, and I didn't want something big and thick just, thunking around in my pants. This was a great way to go. So yeah, now I've got my Vero for that. It weighs less and it's a little bit smaller. This weighs more, but it's also a small knife. But this has always been a great way to go. The action is just super friggin' awesome. Jerry's still offering these, and in a lot of different configurations, man. He's doing Damasteel. He's even doing fancy Damasteel finishes like black DLC Damasteel. Rose gold mirror polished Damasteel. All black. Beautiful ionic blue. Like crazy, crazy finishes, man. So if you're looking for something sleek, very compact, and very easy to carry, with an action that'll blow your mind, a blade length that will do absolutely everything, the Mongoose is a really, really, really great way to go. Another one I love is my JK Knives Dwarf. I carry this fairly often as well. Not as much as I did in the beginning, but I do still carry it often. I love how slim it is. This is much easier to carry on many days than something like my VBR, just because it is so slim. I do wish it had a stronger detent. That was something I brought up in the review. But I love the futuristic design of it. It still reminds me a lot of a GTC for a small fraction of the cost. It's a full custom knife. Beautiful hand-rubbed satin blade with a very high luster hand-rubbed satin flat. Beautifully made. Sweet, smooth action. The blade just disappears into the body of the knife. Nice machining in the frame. Beautiful all the way around. And I asked Yannick if he wouldn't mind adjusting the detent and making it a bit stronger, and he said he would be happy to do it. But it's a lot of time and expense to ship back and forth, so I've elected just not to do it. So that's on me. But if you go to order, just tell them, hey, I'm one of those snobby Americans that likes a really hard, strong detent, and he's happy to do it for you. So don't take the detent discussion as being a reason not to order one of his knives, because he's more than happy to tune the detent to match your wants and desires. But man, look how cool that is. Look how beautiful that is. Simple, clean, beautiful. Great finish on that blade. Really nice craftsmanship. Another one that I've had for a very, very, very long time, the Diamondback V2 prototype from my good friend over at DSK Tactical, Dan Sullivan. He's been a close personal friend for so many years now, I really don't even remember. Love the man to death. He's just one of those guys that, he's got one of those tough outer shells. He's going to be an asshole to you until you get to know him. That's just the way it is. I mean, obviously not to his customers, but, he's not going to be your best friend until he's got a reason to be, until he's got a reason to trust you and realize that you're not just going to be an asshole. He's been there for me every time I've ever needed him. He's always there to talk, and somebody that I truly care about. And this has always been one of my favorite knives. No, it's not the most ergonomic. It doesn't have all the sweet little contours and this and that. But this is somebody that's making a knife that's just made to, honestly, it's made to fucking hurt people. I mean, really, when you get down to it, it's made to cut shit and to cut people. That's it. And that's a design philosophy made by somebody that was a Marine. And that's really the best way that I can put it. This is somebody that began his knife-making career working with Greg Medford, and you can see that design language coming through in his own designs. It's big, it's thick, it's bulky, nothing is contoured. Now, when I say contoured, I mean it's not rounded in this manner. It's a slab-sided frame lock, like many frame locks on the market. But he does make things contoured in the way that there's no hot spots. Everything is comfortable when it's in the hand. There's nothing about this knife when you're holding it that you go, oh, that's uncomfortable. I don't like that. No, that's not what I mean. Everything is comfortable, or otherwise I wouldn't have had this in my collection for as long as I've had it. Cuts very, very well. It's extremely sharp. I have used this more times than probably any other folder in my collection to really just cut down the worst of the worst shit. I've cut rope with this thing. I've cut more cardboard than I care to count. I think I've only touched up the edge 4 or 5 times in the number of years that I've owned it. It's just always performed. If I ever had one complaint about it, I wish the edge here in the thumb opening was a little less harsh. That's it. He did some really cool things on this for me. I got the custom pivot here with the milling around the pivot in the frame. He made these little Timascus nuggets for me that he's never offered in his standoffs for anybody else. And the Timascus pocket clip. He doesn't really dress up a lot of knives. He does sometimes, and they look really awesome. His stuff is really meant to be used more than just as jewelry, but he knows that I have a propensity for flashier things, and he wanted to make mine a bit more special. And it, of course, is marked as prototype here in the milled pocket. And he just did a great job all the way around, and it's always been a knife that I've enjoyed carrying. Yeah, it's big and it's bulky and it's heavy. It's not practical to carry all the time, but the days that I'm wearing something like jeans or something that I can easily carry off something heavier, I really enjoy carrying it. And then last, but most certainly not least, the only knife on this table that is completely rust-proof, that absolutely nothing is impervious to everything, period. This is my Terrain 365. I did a full video on it. I fully explained what Terravantium is, what the benefits are, explain as best as I could how it's made, why it's so special. You can see the marks on the blade from the use that it's seen so far. I have carried this a lot because it is impervious to everything. This has seen a lot of time in my pocket while I'm on the motorcycle because I live in Texas and it's friggin' hot. And it's really hot when you're sitting at a stoplight straddling a motor that gets well over 200 degrees, and you're fucking dying. So you're sweating all over your knife, and sweat is salty water, and that equates to rust. So I want to carry something that's not going to rust. So this gets carried a lot for that. The action has done nothing but get smoother and sweeter. It cuts through everything. The edge has held up. It is still as crazy sharp as it was the day that it arrived. There's nothing I can do to make it dull, apparently. It feels great. It's lightweight. I love the ergos of it. It's straightforward and simple. It does literally everything that I want it to do. It's a handsome, clean, very straightforward design. They're affordable. They're right around $400 for a knife that will not rust. Ceramic bearings, ceramic detent, titanium frame, G10 scales, titanium pivot, titanium thumb stud with the glow-in-the-dark locator, and Terravantium blade. This can literally sit at the bottom of the ocean for 100 years, be pulled out, and look exactly the same, work exactly the same, and you can just rinse it off with some cold water, throw it in your pocket, and it will be exactly as it is right now with no difference. How insane is that? And that's why I love this knife, and that's why I will be buying another Terrain 365 this year when the other model that I've been pining for, when it becomes available this year, I'm going to be buying that one. So that's it, guys. That is the most carried knives of 2022 so far as of, what is today? Today is May the 14th. And it may change a little bit. Actually, I know it's going to change because I just got a knife in the mail this week that is not only a game changer for me, but I think a game changer for the industry. It will end up being a mainstay in my pocket for many, 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 many reasons. Actually kind of excited about that. I can't even give you a sneak peek of it. There's an embargo on it. I can't show it before they reveal it. But yeah, that one's going to be a game changer for the whole industry, I believe. But anyway, I don't see a lot of things changing in this lineup for the rest of the year. Yeah, maybe one or two changes here or there, but for the most part, this is it. Now, out of this, what are my most carried? It would be the VBR, the Nimble, the 365, the Terrain 365, and my TiBia. Those are the most carried of the most carried. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry it was so long. Thank you guys for the feedback. If you want to see more stuff like this, give me some ideas in the comments down below, and I'll see what I can do. No, I'm not going to do an entire collection video. Jesus Christ, guys, this was almost 40 minutes long, and that was only, what, a handful of knives. So no, not going to happen. But I'll take some other suggestions. Let me know. See you guys on the next video.